This is the 2.0 burger, which don't believe I've had yet. So let's see how this goes. Unless you've been living under a rock lately, you know that Beyond Meat had one of the Bright Star IPOs, probably of all of 2019. And there's something going on in the whole sector that is really starting to bubble up. It's a fascinating kind of a wetware technology. Even if you don't care about the business angle, you got to admit, at least someone you know says, that stuff's pretty good. Let's find out how they make it that way and what's next. Come on, let's go behind closed doors. Now, I know what you're thinking. Oh, Beyond's made of pea protein and mung beans and brown rice. I could whip that up in my kitchen at home. Probably not. This is the analytics lab at Beyond Meat's headquarters. Let's walk through some of the stages you definitely can't do in your kitchen. So Parker, we've got a couple of patties here. Correct. And then we've got something that you call the mechanical mouth. What is this thing?
We colloquially call it the E-mouth.
I've been called the E-mouth sometimes. This is good.
It's a texture analyzer. It's going to measure the force that the burger is exerting when you try to compress it or feel when you try to chew it.
All right, so the burger's going to go in here.
Correct.
All right, let's stick it in there and see how this works. Because everyone talks about, does it chew right, you know? And here we go. Oh, look at that, yeah. Oh, it's not just one, so it's actually chewing, essentially. And then you gather data from this. I'm seeing a graph right here that shows every bite, it looks like.
Exactly.
Okay, that's the analytics lab, where they make things taste good. But they also know that if something doesn't look like it's going to taste good, it kind of doesn't in your mind. That's why we have the color lab. This is the one thing in this lab I recognize.
Yes.
Those are beets, okay. And the beets are key to your color.
Yes. For a hamburger, you notice one important thing about a hamburger is when you cook it, it changes color. And everybody knows that. And that is how people know how to cook hamburgers.
Yeah, right.
And and when we eat also, you know, the look of something is very important to our taste. And so we choose beet in particular because beet, of all the natural colorants, is the most heat sensitive and will in fact change color as you cook it.
So by using the beet colorant, I get a burger that looks like a raw burger at first and looks like a cooked burger when it's cooked.
Yes.
And not every colorant, natural colorant, would do that.
No, in fact, most if not all of them don't. And that kind of makes sense because never do people want something that will, change color. You want to be the color that it is.
I want Mountain Dew to always look like uranium waste.
Yes.
That should never change, right?
Exactly. And
if this is different.
This is different. See the powder down here?
It's like powder building up right there.
Yeah.
Just that fast.
Yep, that fast.
And the juice is draining out.
Yep. And so this is a small benchtop machine. So to do this for actual commercial, these machines are much, much bigger.
Sure, but we just made instant beet powder for coloring.
Yes.
That didn't take long either.
No.
So Julie, you've got the most fun color palette I've seen so far here at Beyond. This is like a paint box, but I don't think you're playing around.
No, and also not with paints. Only with fruits and vegetables and edible flowers and
That's what these are?
all natural ingredients.
I would drink this.
You could.
I might add some vodka, but I would drink
It'll
this.
taste very good, but
Really?
you could.
These are from fruits, vegetables, and flowers, you say? Okay, so what is this telling us about your process?
So what this seeks to look at is a lot of color blending. So just like you can have different varieties that give you specific colors, when you mix them together, you create very subtle hues. And all of that plays to cueing our minds that what we're seeing is meat. Now plants don't really look like hamburgers, so that's kind of my job, is to create those subtle hues, the colors, make it vibrant, just like an animal meat product would be.
All right, so that one's actually brown, interesting.
It's very dark, that one. Gives it a really good...
This is a color I almost couldn't describe. I don't even know what that is. It's orangey, but not really. That's really interesting.
Orangey, but not really is, I think, a good starting
A little
point.
bit of rust in there, and then this is, oh, that's very blue. Huh.
Then you mix it all together. And now what you're gonna see here is if you hold it up to the light, not only is it almost incredibly red, hopefully blood-like, but as it gets thinner and as the light plays at different angles, there's almost like an orange hue that can come out.
I see it.
And we see that a lot in animal meat.
So you guys have done the research to say what makes red meat red to our eye.
Exactly.
And now you replicate it with colors we wouldn't expect. You know, add some dark blue, add some dark brown, to orange and red, but that's how you get here.
That's how you get there.
I gotta say it, that looks like a blood pipette right there. I mean, that's
what we're going for.
That's it, right? Okay, we've seen a lot of lab stations now where color and structure and chemistry and all kinds of the science are sort of abstractly investigated. Now we're gonna go into the test kitchen and see where they verify how this stuff cooks up and actually handles. This is the most conventional looking part I've seen so far at Beyond. This looks like a restaurant kitchen.
Absolutely. You know, this is one of the advantages that we have here at Beyond Meat is using our culinary kitchen to be able to see how behavior works on our plant-based burgers. We come over here and we see the behavior on our hoagie buns, so on our burger buns. We also see how the consumer is going to take our product once it goes home as well. So when it comes here to the culinary room, we want to see how that behaves in your plate and your regular home consumer and see how you cook it out as well.
And I've noticed I see a bunch of condiments behind me here. I see the mustard, I see the pickles. You guys make meals here. You don't just make abstract pieces of sausage and beef.
That is correct. That is correct. We are 100% involved on how our product tastes the whole time. We want to see when it's cold, when it's hot, when it's mid-temperature. We want to see after resting for 5 or 10 minutes, how is that going to produce later on for when you consume that as well.
Okay, now I get to look a little less like Santa Claus. Drop that part of the net and do the fun part. Have a taste of this perfectly prepared Beyond Burger. This is the 2.0 burger, which I don't believe I've had yet. So let's see how this goes. Definitely more rustic. You can see in here, notice how well the texture looks more rustic alongside the other relatively coarse ingredients, the condiments of lettuce. That's so interesting because everything else in tech, this is basically a tech company, is about consistency and fine precision. And here, a win is almost going the other way. You can use all the high-tech machines you want to chew on something, examine its color, look at its microscopic texture, but you don't know you've got a winner with consumers until consumers tell you you've got a winner. And that's where you bring them into this. This is the Beyond Meat Sensory Lab, where real people are given blind sample tastes and they tell the real story. Is this good or not? Huh. 241 and 415. So blind tasting, numbers here. I'm going to be dainty and get my napkin and try a piece of 415 first, because that's our area code. Okay, got it. Because we're near the wine country, let's use the proper technique and clear our palate. Now, let's go to the mysterious 241 sample and see if I can tell a difference in what it is. Why do I feel like I'm going to flunk this test?
So, what did you think about those two samples? First off, which one did you prefer?
I kind of like 241 more because it tasted slightly greasier. It was more satisfying in that respect, I thought.
And texturally, as far as the chew, the bites, the kind of cohesiveness that you'd expect from a burger, which one do you think?
415 tasted a little more coarse and maybe a little more, had more opposition to chewing, whatever you guys call that in the biz.
Sure, yeah.
So 241 and 415 differ how? What have I tasted here?
The 241 there, that's actually our Beyond Burger 1.0. The second sample there on your right is our newest offering of the Beyond Burger that is due out in stores any day now. And so that's what we've been developing as the next level.
And that's the one that I thought was more like animal meat and had a little more of a coarse, random animal texture to it. Where this one I thought had a little finer grind, I think, and also tasted a little greasier, a little fattier. So it sounds like you guys are going the right direction. You'd be pleased with these results, I think, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And again, as a consumer-facing brand, getting consumer feedback is what we're all about. And so you totally fit our demographic, and we would love to gather feedback from as many people as possible. And that's what we do here in the Sensory Lab.
We've been talking a lot about what a burger or a sausage should look like when it's cooked. It has to look right when it's not cooked because people don't buy cooked burgers at the grocery store in a package. They're buying a raw product, if you will. So they've also changed how the 2.0 presents before it's cooked. See these white spots here? This is analogous to the kind of marbling that you get in traditional animal ground meat. Whereas in the 1.0, the ingredient's in there, but it's more finely dispersed. You don't see it. Here, it's the visual cue that says you're buying something that is more akin to an 80-20. These white flecks of animal-looking plant fats are the 20. Of all the interesting categories in technology right now, this one around plant-based meats is particularly fascinating because to win here, you not only have to taste good, you have to have good taste. You've got to emblemize some kind of a movement that people want to be part of. It's different than selling someone a phone or a tablet. And that's what makes this one so variably interesting to watch in the years ahead. To stay on top of what's next in all of technology, make sure you subscribe to the CNET channel here on YouTube.